Good morning, my darlings. I hope that you all are having an amazing day today. The pattern that I am reviewing today is the Anderson Blouse Pattern from Sew Over It, which is what I'm wearing right now. So the Anderson blouse is based off of costumes worn by Gillian Anderson in the movie The Fall. I bought mine as a PDF because Sew Over It is based in London. So everything that I experienced with this pattern is based off of consuming it as a PDF, printing it off, and viewing the instructions on my iPad as I was sewing. I love Sew Over It's PDF patterns. I think that they are like the bar, and everyone strives to meet Sew Over It when it comes to the clarity of their PDF patterns, how easy they are to put together, and how nicely things match up. I actually love putting PDF patterns together, so I do have a mild bias there because I know some people are like, oh my god, I hate PDF patterns and they drive me insane. I don't. I think they're fun puzzles.
When you're doing a puzzle, it's like having 1,000 friends.
The Anderson blouse is labeled an intermediate level pattern by Sew Over It, and it is because of the type of fabric that you need to work with. But if you're someone who is at that level up point, where you've been working a lot with quilted cottons and plain wovens, and you're kind of ready to level up into the more drapey materials, this is actually, I think, a really good pattern to do that in because there are no buttons and no zips in this pattern. It has a lot of forgiveness when it comes to things getting a bit wonky off grain because it's so drapey. This pattern also has a lot of ease in it. I ended up cutting the smallest pattern based off of the finished garment measurements because there's inches and inches of ease here. That's a personal choice. It just depends on how drapey you want it to be. The PDF booklet for instructions, this is probably my biggest beef with this pattern, and again, it's not really a very fair complaint because they've gone above and beyond what other pattern companies do anyways. So again, like, my bar is all the way up here because it's a Sew Over It pattern, so this is me like picking. The PDF instruction booklet has colored photographs, which is amazing. Like, colored photographs make everything so much clearer, and you're not like flipping through a weird like paper cardboard booklet with black and white drawings and you're like, wait, is that the fashion fabric? Is that the lining? What am I looking at? Because the drawing's this big, and you're like, oh, what's that in there? Blouse that they were making and they were photographing for these instruction booklet is a very pretty royal cobalt blue. And then they serged it and sewed it using black thread. From a photography standpoint, this makes it actually really, really hard to see even in colored photographs because it's dark, it's absorbing light, and then the way blue can interact with the camera sometimes can make things go a little crazy. There were times, especially up here in the collar area, where it's very dark and fiddly and the technical instructions are kind of hard to visualize, that I really wish they had used a different colored fabric for the sewing with a contrasting thread. That would have been a lot easier to see than the solid blue and the black. Again, that's a very, very minor critique. One thing I really like, in the pattern instructions, they talk about when to serge the garment or when to finish the seams on the inside. And for me, that's huge. I don't innately know what needs to be serged and what doesn't need to be serged. If I was left up to my own devices, I would forget to do it, and then I'm trying to serge like a really tight corner when everything's sewn together going, Abby, you're an idiot. Or I would over serge and then I would have bulk. Or just the concept of serging two pieces together after it's been seamed and pressing it. I'm like, woof. I made this pattern out of the worst possible fabric of all time. I chose the crappiest fabric, and I know some of you out there have done the same thing because here in America, when you need some fabric, where do you go? You go to Joann's. Ooh, rayon! That's great! I can work with this. Woo! And then you look at that fabric and you go, how the frick was this thing actually woven together? Like, there's no straight lines anywhere in this fabric. So I used that terrible Joann's fabric. Don't use it, FYI, avoid it at all costs. The fact that I made this blouse and that it fits and that I like it and that it's comfortable and I feel good in it and I feel pretty in it is a testament to how well this pattern has been laid out and has been designed. The notches match up great. The sleeves, there is no sleeve in this pattern. These sleeves set in perfectly. In fact, they even tell you to put in like some ease stitching at the shoulder to help ease in the pattern if you need to. I didn't need to. They just went in. Like, I just pinned them in and they were like, oh, okay, happy to be here. Woo, so well-mannered. I was actually irritated that I went through that step to put in that ease stitching, and like, of course me, I was like, gather, gather, gather. Wait, I have to let it out, I have to let it out, I have to let it out, I have to let it out. And I just let the whole thing out. Like, it didn't gather up at all. I just put some stitching in there, I guess, just in case it didn't fit, but it totally popped in beautifully. It was amazing. This shirt just went together super, super easily. Like, I'm really, really happy with how it looks. I do have a couple beefs with this pattern now. I'm not gonna be like, oh, it's all sunshine and rainbows, because it's not. Like, nothing's ever perfect. And I'm not the only person who has had this complaint. The first critique, whoa, holy bosom Batman. Hello! I guess if maybe you're a nursing mother, it's actually a really great shirt option. But when you're trying to go into a professional setting and all of a sudden you're like, oh, okay, here we go. Let's just tuck this back in. Like, I check and I check and I check just to make sure that I'm not like Flash and Audrey here everywhere.
Feed me Seymour.
The way that they do the front, it's very drapey and it folds over. You stitch it down here at the bottom, but it's not extreme enough to really help hold it open. Like, if I wanted to, I could have this whole thing gaping open. I don't want to, because that's a different type of YouTube channel. They say in the pattern that you can put a tacking stitch to help hold it closed, but my issue with that, with how this is constructed, it's folded over and it's very full and it's very drapey to fit over the bust. Finding a place to tack it shut where it doesn't pull funny or look funny or make the shirt drape oddly over the body, it's really, really difficult. People say, oh, well, you can just wear a cami underneath. And it's like, yeah, you totally can. I don't want to. I don't want to have to wear something to cover up that part of my body so that way if my shirt flies open, it's not a big deal. I just would prefer my shirt not to fly open. I think if they went back and they made a point, like a stitch point, just marked it on the pattern over where the blouse should meet to stitch, so that way it's secured at a certain point so you're not gonna fly open, I think that would just solve the problem instantly. And I think it would be great. The other critique that other people have that I agree with is how the bottom is finished. They instruct you to either put in an elastic or to put in a drawstring so you can draw it up. It's very awkward instructions. Like, I couldn't visualize it. I didn't really understand it. Then it also will create bulk. So the idea of like drawing something up and bunching that up, I was like, well, that's not gonna be necessarily the most flattering thing to have under like high-waisted trousers or a skirt. I don't need to add extra bulk around my tummy. Like, no thank you, please. I just finished the edge. And I know that probably doing the drawstring would help fix this problem. Frankly, I would prefer to have a normal hem at the bottom, minimal bulk, and having this secured. The Anderson Blouse by Sew Over It retails for £9 for the PDF printed home pattern, all the way up to £13 for the printed paper pattern that they can send to you. Say that 3 times fast. Printed paper pattern. Printed paper pattern. It fits a multitude of sizes. It's a very lovely pattern to put together. It's a great leveling up pattern for beginners who are ready to up their game. It has wonderful, very clear instructions. The color choices for the photographs were not my favorite. I would have preferred something a bit more easy to see. And while the construction around the neck can be a bit tricky, it does work. The pattern pieces are beautiful, they fit together lovely, and it creates a really elegant blouse. You do have to be on titty watch because the boobs can come flying out if you don't put a stitch in to protect them. And also this drawstring at the bottom of the shirt I feel is really unnecessary, and I would prefer to have had a different finishing option. I love this pattern. I will make it again. I love Sew Over It. They are one of my favorite pattern companies out there right now. I really, really recommend this pattern. If I'm gonna give it like a 4 out of 5 like cups of coffee review, I would totally give it 4.5 stars. You want a good, beautiful blouse? Well, there you go. And there's no zippers and there's no buttons. So it's a win-win situation. I hope that you all enjoy the rest of your day. If you have any questions or comments, leave them below. I'll do my best to answer them. And I will see you all next time. Have a good one. Bye. Oops. I bought the PD. Okay, let me try this again. So they a mouthful.